This is your Lehigh Valley, where your success reaches new heights. Excellence isn't achieved by chance. Success requires vision, commitment, flexibility. Change brings opportunity. The opportunity to think and work different, better. This space offers solutions and resources you'll love, with a world-class vibe that's close to home. There's nothing ordinary about this space. Here is where you'll achieve the extraordinary. This is your Lehigh Valley. This is your Venture X.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode of Somos Lehigh Valley. It's our podcast, our weekly podcast. It's sponsored by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and Tony's looking at me, as well as Venture X. We're sitting in Venture X today here in South Bethlehem. Beautiful studio. We've got Tony Ianelli with us, who is CEO of the Greater Chamber, as well as Tom Groves, who is his boss, as the board chair. So, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, AJ. Thanks for having us. It's a beautiful studio, beautiful office you have here.
Well, Tony Ianelli, you're originally from this area, right?
Yeah.
Born and raised in Allentown, right? Talk to us a little bit about you for the 2 or 3 people out of the 100 who never heard of you. Like, give them a little background on who you are.
I'm just probably one of the luckiest people on the planet in that I grew up in Allentown. We had family business, and that's where I thought I was going to be working. Actually, that might be a little bit of an excuse. I was just really a bad student. So everyone went away to college, and I was working for my dad. And then right before I got there to be a full-timer, his business closed. And so it was like, okay, now what? So got a job in the assembly line at Mack Truck. I remember I had a supervisor who said, Tony, do yourself a favor, get a job using your mouth instead of your hands, because I wasn't very good at it. And I went into real estate, and then just series of jobs. And 26 years ago, I've got the greatest job I ever had in my life, and got to meet so many people, incredible, like yourself, AJ. I know I'm not patronizing, but you have such a good personality, and I don't know. And Tom, it's just I'm very blessed, and it's I'm thankful for it.
Well, thanks so much for everything that you do, Tony. And we've got Tom as well. Tom, let people know a little bit about you, like who you are.
Oh, AJ, great. Thank you so much. I got my start with the chamber, with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, when it was on its own. And our executive director, Alvaro Diaz, and myself, he was a mentor of mine, really kind of got me involved with the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce, and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce merged in with the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber, and we haven't looked back. It's been one of the greatest things ever. I was born outside of Philadelphia, but my wife is from Venezuela, so I lived in Venezuela for 6 months. I do speak Spanish.
Indeed. Yes, in Venezuela.
Yo hablo español.
Oh, yeah.
Me defiendo en español.
We call him Tomas.
Tomas,
Yes.
Tomas, yeah.
And so that's why I got involved with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I have 2 children, Joseph and Sophia. Joseph's 22, Sophia's 25. Actually works at the chamber, and so it was important to me to be involved with the Latino community, and it's been great. And the chamber's been phenomenal for us. My day job is I own Equinox Benefits Consulting. We do like Blue Cross, Blue Shield plans, employee benefits for businesses, and it's been a great Lehigh Valley here. And it's family. It's beautiful. Companies all work together. People work together. We love it here. So.
Yeah. Andre, you shouldn't forget, by the way, he brings up Alvaro Diaz, who was an amazing person. It is an amazing person. Fulbright
scholar from Columbia. Yes.
Really nice person, and really important to integrating the chambers way back.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned integrating chambers, because I think that when we look at your contributions, Tony, to the chamber, I think it really is bringing people together, bringing chambers together. Because years ago, what I've heard from people is that the chambers were all scattered everywhere. There were 15 different hundred chambers. You had to pay 1,500 different dues to belong. Mm-hmm. And you've really been spearheading that effort of just bringing it all together and simplifying the opportunity for folks to get connected. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're lucky. I don't know. We just wanted to integrate all the organizations that we could, so we'd have one singular, number one, as you said, saving money on dues. Number two, more, if you want to use the term, more powerful. And most importantly now in the new chamber, more inclusive. So Tom comes out of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce as our chair now. And the chair is something to aspire to. Before Tom, it was Mary Lasicki from the LGBTQ community. So I think what we're trying to do is paint a 21st century chamber that is inclusive, but yet it's a business organization. So what's that combination? Driving business, but maybe in a sense driving a business for everybody in the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
Not what maybe in the past not as much as inclusive, I would say.
Yeah, I see the strides that the chamber is making, and Tom, just speaking about that a little bit, obviously Tony mentioned how the chamber has become more diverse, but I think it's as a result of looking at the neighborhoods where the chamber is, right, and how they have become more diverse. So how have you seen the Lehigh Valley change over the past 10, 20 years?
Well, I've been here since I was 9 years old, moved up from Philadelphia. Did spend some time in Florida and lived down there, and I lived in Venezuela, so I learned Spanish in Venezuela. And I moved back here in 1998, and I could not believe how many people spoke Spanish and it was great because then I learned Spanish and really got involved with the community and with the Hispanic Chamber. We started a nonprofit, a 501c3 called Futuros Empresarios, which is the FAY Foundation, which gives Latino high school students internships with different businesses in the chamber. And that's great because giving them a role model and someone to see, hey, success, and I could do this myself, and it's been great, and it's been a program that's open to all students for the Lehigh Valley, and it's been very successful. It's a summer internship, and the chamber, the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber, is very supportive, and it continues to today. So yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that we've seen over the past 20 years is, again, the diversification of the valley.
Unbelievably.
But for myself, I feel like I first got here in 2003, 2004. That's when I first moved to the Lehigh Valley after living in New York all my life. And so I'm coming from a place that's very diverse, right?
Didn't look so diverse here when you got here.
Well, yeah, it didn't. But, when you talk about Hispanics in the area, it was predominantly Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. And one of the things that I've noticed over the past 20 years is that when you talk about Hispanics in the Valley now, it's also Mexicans, it's Central Americans, it's Hondurans, it's folks from other places. So how have you seen the evolution of just Latinos in general, as far as it becoming more of a plural, society as opposed to just a monolith?
Well, you live it, Tom, really socially and from a business perspective, so you really see the change.
I do, and a lot of our friends are from, you had mentioned Mexico, they're from the Dominican Republic, they're from Cuba, they're from Puerto Rico, they're from Venezuela, they're from Colombia, Argentina, Central America, and we have a great camaraderie, and it's good because a lot of those folks who have moved here and not born here, they want family. And so a lot of times their friends now become their family. Yeah. And I know with, for example, Air Products, they hire a lot of engineers from Latin America. And it's important that they have their community and their lifestyle, and they can get that through events like at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and in the community in general. There's the food. You can go
food is
to
big.
una repera in Allentown. La bicicleta.
Yeah.
And I'll go in there and I'll order una reina pepiada, and they say, where did this guy know this? And reina pepiada is phenomenal arepa with avocado and like chicken salad.
I
don't
why
even
you've
know.
never taken me yet.
Yeah,
he's getting ahead of us because I was going to ask what your favorite spots are, but go ahead.
But that's and so the food. A lot of times it's the culture, the food, and everything like that. It's really amazing that you get here in the valley.
Yes.
Well, for me, the experience, so many new friends. It almost makes me emotional. But so many new friends of color or diversity that yourself. I mean, just really good, amazing people that bring so much to this valley. And I'm just glad they're my friends, and they're since I'm just. It's unbelievable how I think about the evolution. I've been here my entire life. So, I mean, when I was younger, Italians were newcomers
Yeah.
to the region. So it just is the amount of amazing people I've met that are new arrivals to the Lehigh Valley is unreal.
Well, talking about the Lehigh Valley, I know that I've shared this with a few of our guests because we had a few people come on and the shared experience of moving here, right, and coming and becoming a part of this community. And what you always hear is coming here was difficult because you're leaving Philly, you're leaving New York, and you're used to having culture and entertainment and all these options of things to do. And suddenly you come to the Valley where it seemed like it's a lot less busy. But over the past 10 years, it seems like there's been a lot more that's become available in terms of sports teams and entertainment and nightlife. So, Tom, talk to us a little bit about that, about how those things, how those changes have made it a more cozy community for people to live in.
Oh, it's incredible that you can go to Coca-Cola Park and have basically a big league game and be home in 12 minutes.
I mean, I've been to a big league game. I mean, the last time was 7-8 years ago, but I mean, I go to the Iron Pigs all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it's literally like a 20-minute ride home.
Right. Kurt Landis, the general manager, is on our board, a great guy. And so, the quality of baseball is just as good as seeing the Phillies. A lot of times the Phillies come and play up here when they're maybe...
we had Harper last year, right?
Amazing. I think he had a walk-off, home run or walk-off hit.
Yep.
But, you got the PPL Plaza. You've got all of that. But, the other thing you still do have here is just overall salt to the earth people. The businesses are, get together. They help one another out. The community helps one another out. People treat each other like neighbors, whatever their background. And you see that. And that's really, I think it's special. I don't think a lot of folks have that. I think people appreciate that when they come here to the Valley,
Well, I think another big part of it that I've also heard from people is that in addition to having the sports teams, the entertainment, it's the connectivity through the chamber and through the events that the chamber holds. So, Tony, I know you're a huge part of that, of planning these events and creating that atmosphere. Like, what goes into creating these events and making them really community friendly?
Well, if I think of Revolution, we started with the power of partnerships. That was bringing all the chambers together. Then we knew we were large, so we went to our motto, on every main street, because we thought we don't want people to feel like, since we're big, we're not on every main street. So that was geographic. Now the 21st Century Chamber is really our new motto. And you know this, we have to give Danielle, Joseph, and that.
I got to give her flowers.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Yes,
Brittany
indeed.
Keel and that whole group in terms of diversity, equity, inclusion, and how important they've raised that bar for us. So it's just, again, an ever evolving work to do, always work to do. But economically too, we're in a really, I think our biggest challenge, while economics are important, obviously, but they're so strong right now. That quality of life. So what's that balance? What's the balance of growth that we have? As you just both said, you can go to a game and you're home in basically no time. So what is that balance of growth / quality of life?
Yeah. One of the stories that I think that is also often not told is that there are industries that are growing, right? Manufacturing is a huge one that's growing. Warehouses and things like that. And I think that the fact that there are folks coming in from outside and finding community and, finding places to live and getting, acclimated to the Lehigh Valley is providing that workforce for those industries, and that are growing. Hospitality is another one, hospitals as well. I mean, they're getting larger than the hospital networks.
I think part of our success, what I worry about is affordability for young people who want to feel part of this community, who want to buy a home. I mean, the numbers have escalated. I mean, if you come from New York, it looks like a steal.
Oh, 100%.
But if you're from here, the numbers are really crazy. And the competition, once a home comes on the market, you're in competition. So I worry that can young people who have come here, who want to feel a part of this, want to feel the fiber, want to be the future of the community, can they afford to buy a piece of it?
What do you think the answer is to that?
Oh, I don't know. The free market's a tough place to compete or to move. It's a big ship, and when you move it, it moves slowly. I don't. I mean, try to find. I guess short of some sort of programs that will help first-time buyers, because the market is. I know of two people that have paid $100,000 more than the list price.
Wow.
In the last couple of weeks of homes that they have bought. So it tells you that the market is on fire.
Yeah, I mean the other part of it though is if you're a homeowner, you're happy because the value of the value of your home is going up. So if you're looking to do like a renovation project or something, you could probably dip into the equity, right? But it is a problem if you're diving in for the first time and trying to buy a home. Right.
And a lot of people aren't moving because they have a 3.5% mortgage.
I'm sitting on a 3%. I am not moving anytime
not
soon.
moving, and then to get a new mortgage is 7% or more, and you gotta pass all these the information they need. My brother-in-law just bought a house, and the information, it was endless. And just when you thought so
I always say they torture you, but then they give you the money. So
and the thing is, like, you go on TikTok and these places, and they say, "Hey, if the house is out there, go get the house. You can always refinance later."
Yeah, somehow it'll happen.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous because people are stepping into things they can't afford.
Yeah, lucky I'm an old guy, so I don't have to worry about that. I don't have a mortgage.
I won't comment on that.
No, yeah. All right.
You're young at heart. Well, another thing, we just came from the chamber board meeting, and Discover Lehigh Valley was talking about the region. And one of the benefits is there's so many parks here. Yeah. There's so many places to fish or to go out and walk in the park and enjoy, the beautiful spring flowering trees. I mean, we're fortunate that a lot of people don't have that. We take that for granted. When I moved away to Florida after college, I was surprised that there's not a whole lot of parks. Everything is developed. And so we have a beautiful region here that we have to continue to value that open space.
Well, you can see.
I have two daughters. I'm sorry. One was in Philly. One was in New York. They're both back. Yeah. In fact, my daughter from New York, she came home one time and she said, "Dad, when did this become West New York?" Because we have the lifestyle centers and the PPL center and the ballpark. It was you could see the growth.
And that's been only in the last decade or so, right? And now it seems like we're going into another phase of that development, because you have the Da Vinci Center coming up downtown. You have the whole redevelopment of Center Allentown. You have Easton, and everything that's happening there. So, I'd be interested to see like what the valley's going to look like 5 years from now, and does it really become New York West?
Yeah. Have you had guests that were concerned about the residential component and affordability and the cities and the quality of housing, quality of landlords in
I think
cities?
Everyone is concerned about that. Sure. One of our guests is a mortgage originator, and one of the things that she was sharing is that it seems like there are a lot of lessons that weren't learned from 2007, 2008, because lending is becoming very predatory again, where you have a lot of folks who are being told like, you can go out and get whatever you want. And then you get into the whole verification process, and people are losing thousands of dollars because things weren't done the right way. So I think that's a huge opportunity for our Hispanic community, for our communities of color, because unfortunately, many times it is the communities of color, the Hispanic communities, that are taken advantage of because they're not as financially literate.
Yeah, or have access.
Right.
They can call someone that's at a bank that they know is a friend, boom, done. So they're starting, as you said, with some people that maybe are questionable in terms of ethics, and they're kind of stuck in that, and that bothers me.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm encouraged about with our board currently is that it's comprised of a lot of bankers. It's comprised of a lot of mortgage originators. So it is folks that are directly impacting housing. And what they are doing is putting together events to educate folks, to prepare people, to tell them, what it is they need to do to get ready. Because this is the major purchase that folks make during their lifetime.
Sure.
And it has an opportunity to impact generational wealth. Because, you're thinking 1-2 generations down the line, if they don't have the burden of having to, pay for a home because it's handed down, that makes life, a lot easier for the kids coming down. I mean, I certainly think about it with my kids.
Yeah.
But all of those are opportunities that, within our board, we're looking at how it is that we can help the community.
Yeah.
And I think that it all goes back to having that chamber for the Hispanic community, to have as a listening board. And so, Tom, I know that you were involved with the Hispanic Chamber from the beginning as a co-chair. What are some of the things, some of the issues that you've seen over the years that the Hispanic Chamber has helped the Hispanic community address?
Well, one of the ones I mentioned previously was the FAY Foundation. That was big, the Futuros Empresarios, getting high school kids internships into chamber businesses for the summer, a paid stipend, and giving them a role model, an example to say, hey, I can open my own hair salon. I can open my own insurance agency. I can be a mortgage broker. I can work in a construction company like Butts or Bracy, and maybe even start it because they're not doing anything special. It's just a matter of putting your mind to it, being determined, and having that roadmap. So that's something that I'm proud of, that I was involved with. Alvaro Diaz did a lot of the heavy lifting, and the Hispanic Chamber Board back at that time. So that's big. But what's big for the Hispanic Chamber's community, literally giving that opportunity for to come together almost like family, to celebrate, to enjoy the culture, to dance, to listen to the music, to eat the cultural food from Venezuela, from Colombia, from Cuba, from Dominican Republic, Mexico, and have that sharing component of it. It's something that feeds the soul, and I think that's important, and that's that's probably been some of the success of the Hispanic Chamber. So
Yeah, I don't go to a lot of his parties because they eat too late. Just, I'm an old guy. They're not by 5 o'clock. I'm out.
The thing with the Hispanic community is always like, if the party's at 8 o'clock, you don't show up till like 8:50, because if you show up at 8, you're helping to blow up the balloons and set up the party.
and Tony never stays long enough for the mariachis. When the mariachis,
I did the one time, which was amazing. Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned family. That's one of the reasons why our chamber decided a couple of years ago to change its slogan and adapt, Somos Familia, because I think that everyone, regardless of where you come from, understands the connection that family is intended to have with people, and it does cross, over. It's not one-sided. So it's not just, hey, we're insulary, we're family within ourselves. It's like, hey, we're inviting you to be family as well. We're inviting you to learn more about us. And I think that that's really what the success has been over the past couple of years.
So true. Even in the Spanish language, mi casa es tu casa, or hermano, and that's how I learned my Spanish. Literally sitting at the breakfast table or the lunch table, enjoying meals and understanding the food, and making my mistakes, but they welcomed me like family, and they helped me. So they were so open. The Latino community has been so open to me, and I'll forever be grateful for that.
Now, so, I don't know if it's been as trivial for you as it has been for me, but because of the fact that we kind of mix Latino with non-Latino, sometimes you have to figure out, is this a hug? Is this a handshake? Because you go to events and it's like, hey, So I know with Tony, the Italian community is very, very similar, right? We're all about hugs.
Yeah. I go for the hug unless people. It's interesting you said. I thought after COVID, but I'm shocked at how many people just need and want people, and especially today. Yeah, they need some love.
Especially even the folks who seem to be very germophobic. I noticed that like after the pandemic, they're like seeking community, wanting to be around people, like not minding it.
Yeah, I gotcha. And for the community, say like myself that grew up here, so the originators of the original community. They maybe didn't have a chance to interact with the Hispanic community or people of color, for that matter. And boy, if they're listening, I would encourage them to go places, be places, because there's a lot of amazing new arrivals here, people that have come to this community that bring so much to it. And I am blessed to have met so many people over the last 10 years that really have fulfillment of my life. It's really been added so much to it.
I'll tell you one thing that was especially helpful for me, and I have to thank you, Tony, is the opportunity last August to go visit Puerto Rico, representing the Hispanic Chamber. I felt like I went there and I understood a lot of the things that, people kind of question, like, why is it that people are like this or like that? Or why do they blame the mayor for everything? Or why do, it's understanding that their government is set up different. The culture is different. I mean, because the climate is different. So people are out more. They share the language, they share the foods and things like that. So having that experience was super helpful, as far as understanding the Puerto Rican community. But also, being able to meet with leaders over there. And the big takeaway there was that there were a lot of those folks who had no idea that there were this many Puerto Ricans living in Pennsylvania, and much less in Allentown. So again, it's one of those things where getting out, getting to know people, talking to people, engaging in conversation is so important. Not just for the Hispanic Chamber, but for all of us as a community.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my question for you, Tony, is what is it that you are up to right now? What are you thinking about right now in terms of what it is that you like, for the chamber for the next year? I mean, I'm sure you're probably thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. I always think about the future. My wife calls me Paratony because I'm paranoid about something at all times. So Tom knows this, and he's been a huge asset. In fact, he got us more involved with an outside consultant. We're going to look at what's called future focus, and we're looking at the future of this chamber. We had a great run. But what does the future look like? Can we keep doing the things we're doing? How do we have to change the things that we're doing? How do we get better at the things we're doing? So what does this next iteration of the chamber look like, or this continuation to stay? You all know in business today, if you want to use that broad-based term, you better be evolving, otherwise you will be left behind. So I do not want us to be left behind. I want us to be fully prepared for the future and how we navigate that future.
So Tom, same question for you. Like, what's in your outlook for the next year as you start looking ahead?
Well, as Tony alluded to, the chamber has contracted a firm called Compass Point. You might be familiar with Tom Garrity and Lisette DeBacher, John Bailey. They're from Compass Point. They're consultants, and they're helping the chamber really figure out how they grow revenue. They've done this amazing conglomeration of all the different local chambers and got them working together in harmony. And so where do we go from there? What's our next step? And, how do we improve the careers of our employees? How do we improve the businesses that are part of the chamber so that they can work together? And it is about revenue, because the chamber is like a small business. They don't get any outside funding. They generate every dime themselves, and with a lot of volunteer help, but with an amazing staff. They do over 400 events a year, and so I can't imagine we're going to do 800 events a year. How can we basically do better and generate greater revenue, so there's opportunities for our employees, but also opportunities for our members to thrive and to work together. And are there other communities outside the Lehigh Valley that want to do business with the Lehigh Valley? That could be some opportunity for our growth as well. So that's my legacy, is to hopefully the revenue generation for the chamber continues to grow like it is, and so that its success will be here long after Tony and I are in a better place.
The big chamber in the sky. I do want to say he's fairly modest about this, but he's self-started. He built his business from scratch, and it is an amazing business, and he deserves credit for that, particularly since coming back from...
There you go.
There you go.
I am credit.
Particularly coming back from Venezuela, and really you've done an amazing job.
Thank you, Tony.
So hold on for a second here. We've got to do a little digging.
Okay.
Tom. So I heard that there's a profound love story here involving how you and your wife met. So we want to hear how it is that Tom met this Venezuelan beauty that is now your wife.
Idamar, yes, the love of my life. No, she's amazing. The story is that my sister married a gentleman from Venezuela. He was studying engineering in Philadelphia.
It's always brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Notice that?
Yes. and my sister was at St. Joe's, and they both were studying for their exams late one night. They didn't know one another. They were invited to an international party at the University of Penn. And they both said, hey, we have our exams. We can't go. Their roommates convinced them to go. They went. They met there. They had like 2 dances, 3 dances. They got
And 3 empanadas.
Yeah, and 3 empanadas. And long story short, they then changed phone numbers before we had cell phones. They ended up getting married in 1988.
Wow.
I met my wife at that wedding because she is the niece of my brother-in-law. Okay, so I married my brother-in-law's niece. You say that's legal in Venezuela. It's still legal here too. So I robbed the cradle. She's a lot younger than me, but we didn't get married until 1995. But so we'll be celebrating 29 years anniversary in July.
Congratulations. That's a major.
And by the way, his father-in-law wasn't too crazy about him when he first met him.
No.
I love that part of the story.
Yes.
So did he have a sawed-off shotgun, or
it was the abuelo, and the abuelo said, si él daña mi nieta, le voy a mandar embalsamado para los Estados Unidos.
Ooh, that's not good.
But it turned out when I did ask her to marry me, he came up and he said, you're a gentleman. I and from that I was safe, so I didn't have to worry about.
So if you mess with her, I'm going to send you back, and I'm going to
have you embalmed and send you back in a
and my
pine
favorite,
box.
what I oftentimes will be out, and Tom has a tendency to maybe take things a little, especially his joking too far. And I learned te pasaste. Tom, te pasaste. She's always like, Tom, you've gone too far.
Yes, my wife will tell me if I've crossed the line, te pasaste. So Tony learned that one. So yeah.
Well, see, the one you have to learn, Tony, is when he does something that he thinks he's being slick, but you know that he's not. You just say, "Te conozco, bacalao."
Te conozco, bacalao.
Te conozco,
Muy bien.
bacalao. I know you caught fish.
Yeah.
Right. I learned that one in Venezuela too. Te conozco, bacalao. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just funny how the families and things like that, and meeting things, and it's always the person you don't expect, right? Because with my wife and I, it's like we grew up around same circle of friends. And 96, we both went to a prom for friends.
Yeah.
We were both there with other people.
Yeah.
It's like I had someone as a date, and she was there with her boyfriend, and we're like back to back in the picture. Like her thing is always like, if you would have just told us to turn around, But it's.
Oh, so it wasn't at that event that you connected?
No,
you just happened to be
I had known her for years, but she always thought I was annoying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she didn't pay me any mind until years later,
Yeah.
But it's.
But by the way, I have a nice wife too. I just want to get because if she watches this, I don't, I just want to make sure. But
So how did you and your wife meet, Tom?
I was her sister and I were friends, and they had some sort of a family party or whatever, and I went, and Wendy came. I remember came downstairs. I was like, "Cool, boy." I like. Never. I'm not saying just her look, but her countenance. Very happy, smiling person, and. I found out that she did interior decorating. I'm a very cheap person. There's no way I'm paying for an interior decorator, but I pretended like I was into it. So that's how we connected.
So the $900 ottoman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
ain't happening.
That's amazing.
But I was considering it. Yeah. You have a smirk, Tom. Why do you have a smirk on your face?
Because Wendy, she's Pennsylvania Dutch, but her pronunciation of buen provecho is the best Pennsylvania Dutch.
Wendy makes a great attempt at Espanol, but it's sort of, as Tom always says, it's a mix of Spanish and Pennsylvania Dutch. But anyway.
So Hernan Mauricio.
Oh, yeah, sure. I love Hernan.
WFMZ.
Yeah, I love Hernan.
I told him I was going to be interviewing you.
Love him.
And he said, listen, you got to ask Tony what his favorite Spanish food is. Because I want to have him over and cook whatever it is that he likes.
I like everything. That's my problem. I think everything. Whatever he has, I'll eat. I'll tell you that much. Believe me.
So the thing is, his mom is like a gourmet chef.
Oh, I didn't know
I've
that.
been to his house every time I go, it's something different, but like the other day they had seafood and something amazing. So he throws a good party. So you got to let him know what you like.
You know, and that makes me think when I look at you and think of that, you have really done an amazing job with the Hispanic Chamber and the work you put into it. But your gala, if people are listening and haven't been to your gala, they have to go to the Hispanic Chamber gala. It is absolutely amazing, and it gets better every single year.
Well, this year we're stepping it up a little bit more because we're going to be at the Da Vinci Science Center, the new one.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I had a chance to tour that with Danielle. And that space is just so amazing. You know, we're so excited to have people.
That's so
step into
creative that you
space.
did that, by the way. That's unbelievable that you worked that whole thing
Well,
out.
I mean, I told Danielle early. I said, look, I know we do Arts Quest, and that's fine. It's a great space for a lot of the events that we do, but let's try to move somewhere else. I think it's an easy way to bring people closer. It's like when you bring it into downtown. So we're looking forward to that September the 13th.
Yeah.
We're going to have the pre-sale of the tickets soon. We also have a golf outing coming.
Yeah, I'm
in
going to play
June.
in that.
You better. So
yeah, with John Rosario.
So what's your handicap?
Too high, like 20. It's way too high. It's only because it's not physical, it's mental. But anyway, that's a different story.
He's a very good golfer, and he's better than a 20 handicap. But he plays old guy golf. Which is,
We're going to have to see because one of our sponsors is Brugal, so I don't know how the handicap is going to be after a little bit of Brugal.
that's a good sponsor. Brugal is a good one. It gets that's rum or the rum.
Yeah,
right?
the
Yes.
Dominican rum.
Dominican rum. Yeah, it's like a caramel colored. Right?
Yeah, yes. So they're going to be doing tastings there as people come off of the course there.
I can't wait.
They-
I'm coming back from vacation just to play in that. I can't wait.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm honored that you're leaving vacation.
Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
What made you get involved in it? I'm so thankful that you are, and you have a great personality. But what made you get involved, or how'd that all happen?
Honestly, somebody asked. At the time, I was working for PBS as their director of communications with Genesis Ortega,
Sure.
who now works for the city
Love
as
Genesis.
their communications person. And at the time, she mentioned, "Hey, they're always looking for folks on the Hispanic Chamber Board, to help out with different events, and I think you should try it." And honestly, it was the first time anyone had asked me. I had never been on a board before. So I came in and I was, just another one of the board members.
Yeah.
And I started showing up, giving ideas. And somebody said, well, as a matter of fact, it was Izzy Arcelay.
Was it? Oh, wow.
He said,
yes.
yeah. I have to give him his flowers. Him and Julio.
Julio Garidi, buen amigo
both,
mío.
both good guys.
Yeah.
Because a couple of years ago, they said, I think it's time for some of us older guys to get out of the way and let the younger folks take over. So I'll never forget Izzy gave me the call. He said, "Hey, I want you to go for chair." And so that was the first call. The second call was Danielle. And her thing was like, so I don't know what kind of board chair you're going to be, but I mean, it'd be great if you were kind of involved, So I said, "Hey, I'm right there with you." So and she's great, and the whole team is great. They've been very supportive. So we're just running with it, and just trying to get as many people involved as possible. I think one of the biggest misconceptions or one of the biggest obstacles for us was having people understand that if you have a membership to the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber, that automatically makes you a member of the Hispanic Chamber. I had a lot of folks in the community say like, well, I want to be a part of this Hispanic Chamber, but I paid for this membership for the Greater Chamber. I'm like, well, you're fine then.
Well, then that's us for us. We have to communicate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you say, by the way, you're part of the young leadership? Is that what you said?
No. Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
But you said
Younger.
Younger. Thank you.
With you.
Yeah. I got it. I get it.
No, I mean, I think that it's just folks realizing like, hey, this was good for a time, and it happens to all of us. We grow into a role, but then we understand like, hey, there's others who we should give opportunities to, and I think that even within the chamber now, we're looking at that. We're who's coming up in the ranks that can follow so that we can keep the momentum going.
Yeah, we just had a quick. I don't know. Were you going to say sometime?
No. Then
Well, we
Mary
just had
Lisicki
an
did
example of people that are coming onto the board or / exec committee, which is very important. But someone said, well, there's a certain person or two, let's just say their resume isn't real strong. Well, our feeling is if you want young leadership, their resume, they're going to grow into their resume. So you got to be flexible and say, you know what, it's about trying, and they want to get to that leadership position. Let's lift them up and let's get them there.
Well, that doesn't only apply to leadership. That also applies to jobs, right, here in the Valley. I mean, I think that there's opportunities for recruiters and for companies to find talent that perhaps doesn't have everything, laid out on the application or their resume. So what's the path forward there, Tom?
The path forward is companies, giving folks an opportunity and a chance. And I think a lot of times if you do, and you have some good training and a good culture, a good community and a good culture at your organization, you can help them and bring them up to speed in short time. What I look for when I'm hiring people more is about the quality of an individual and, their character and, their work ethic and, their attitude, and that's everything else you can kind of teach. And so, we have, folks with, different degrees and some without the degrees. And they've all, really become great team members and help the organization grow. So you got to be open-minded and really sometimes take a little bit of a risk. But if you do, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we start wrapping up here, Tony, I know that recently you celebrated 30 years. What was there was a significant anniversary that you celebrated.
There was two. There was 20 years at Business Matters, the TV show, but it was also 26 years at the Chamber.
26 years at the Chamber.
Yeah.
And so at the annual meeting, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
One of the things that you did is you said, if I could give a message to the entire Lehigh Valley, I would say, I love you, Lehigh Valley. Mm-hmm. So now that we're here on this podcast, if you could give the entire Valley a message, I mean, would it be the same one, or would you have something else to say?
Well, I think it was two things, and I say you made me because they did make me. I mean, I had a lot of work to be done, and I had a lot of growth that I needed, to learn, and the Lehigh Valley made me. People have lifted me up. All kinds of people have lifted me up, and so I'm thankful for that. And it is, it does sound corny, but I do love the Valley. It's been my home. It doesn't have to be your home for you to love it, but how do you not love a community that's lifted you up far beyond your wildest dreams? So it's been unreal, and that won't change. I'm thank God I'm on a spot where all the people that lifted me up, I can work for every day and do something I love more than anything in the world.
That's awesome. And it's been home for you, and it's become home for a lot of us who've been here for a while.
And that's part of what I want to do, make sure that people feel this is their home. This is their home. This is their community, and it's time to make sure that that's very clear to them.
Awesome. So, Tom, as we close out, a few final thoughts here. Obviously, looking at it from the point of view of you've been so connected with the Hispanic community, here in the Lehigh Valley. What's your message to the Hispanic community?
Mil gracias. Mil gracias. 1,000 thanks, because they've opened their doors, they've opened their homes, they've opened their businesses, and never once did they question that they opened their arms. Mi casas, tu casas was what I felt and continue to feel with great friends like Aurora and Rafael Martinez and Mercedes Goridi and Julio Goridi and Ismael Arsalay and AJ Suero, and I could go on and on and on. George Lair, who's just at the board. Rebecca Newsom.
Great guy.
It's phenomenal, and so I would just tell them thank you, and continue being so warm and welcome, because you're making this a very, very great place to live. So.
Yeah.
And AJ, now you brought all of us to tears, which is really
that's my allergies.
Yeah. But no, I think we all feel the same. I thank God for friendship and the community we have. Look, we have work to do,
Yeah.
and we're going to do it.
I'll share one story with you here as we close out. I think as you guys know, I used to work for the American Red Cross. Back in October of 2020, I was sent out to Medford, Oregon, for wildfires. First time I'd ever been near wildfire. I mean, it's just catastrophic when you see how quickly communities can be wiped out by a wildfire. But what struck me about Medford, Oregon, is that it sits in Jackson Valley, so it's an area very similar to the Lehigh Valley, and I got assigned to go to the different shelters and help people out, and we were helping a lot of the Spanish-speaking Mexican communities there. There was one person who was doing temperature checks, a volunteer, and checking people in, making sure they were right. And this person, I mean, they were going nonstop. I mean, they were just like, and you could tell the person really had a heart for the community. And so I asked their name, and I said, "Well, where are you from?" And she said, "Northampton County, baby."
Pennsylvania.
You could go as far away as Oregon and still you find good people from the Lehigh Valley, helping the community.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
Thank you guys so much for being with us today on this episode. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of folks are going to get some good nuggets out of this, and hopefully, you have some folks who decide to get involved with the chamber in a deeper way.
Yeah, and I'm hoping my friends from FMZ don't see this, because I'll be out and you'll be the host. You're amazing, AJ. You're doing an amazing job.
Thanks, Tony. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will see you next week on Somos Lehigh Valley. Till then, love, peace, and adobo.